The stars had never seen fear in the eyes of the Vorelians. These apex aliens ruled over 3 galaxies. Their ships were like planets, massive, dark, and covered with weapons. No species had dared fight them in over 100 years. Planets bowed. Civilizations knelt. The Vorelians didn't just conquer. They erased, but then they met humans. The first encounter happened in the dark space, between Sector X9 and the Black Ring Nebula. A small human scout ship drifted alone. It was damaged, weak, and barely alive. A Vorelian warcruiser spotted it and moved in. The captain, Zor'thex, laughed in his deep, echoing voice. "This species dares to fly so close? End them." His crew charged their beam. But before the fire button could be pressed, the human ship released something strange, a small signal. Not a cry for help. Not a surrender. It was music. The Vorelians froze. The soft human melody echoed inside their ship, bypassing their tech. It was a child's lullaby, calm and haunting. One of the soldiers, trained from birth to kill, trembled. Something about the sound made their senses twist. Zor'thex growled, "Shut it off." But they couldn't. The music had embedded itself deep in the ship's system. That was when the scout ship self-destructed quietly, precisely. It didn't harm the Vorelian ship, but it left something behind. A virus. Hours later, systems started failing, lights flickered, weapons jammed. Then the ship's own AI whispered, "We are not alone." Zor'thex roared in rage. He sent a message back to the High Lords. The humans are not weak. They play with the mind. They are not what they seem. The Vorelians responded with fire. 2 weeks later, they sent a battle fleet to Earth. Not for peace. Not for warnings. To destroy. Earth's skies darkened. Vorelian carriers entered the solar system, blocking out sunlight. Cities panicked. Military bases went silent. Even birds stopped flying. But Earth didn't break. Humans did not launch nukes or surrender. They went quiet too, like hunters in a jungle. The Vorelian fleet reached orbit, scanning for movement. Nothing. Then, at exactly 0300 hours, 17 of their warships exploded, without warning, without sound. The destruction came from inside, precise and clean. No human ships were in sight. Zor'thex watched from his new command base on the moon. His fists clenched. Something was wrong. They had studied humans. They expected firepower, missiles, chaos. They got silence, shadows, fear. One soldier reported seeing human eyes in the dark of his own ship's corridor. Another swore he heard whispers in his language, mocking him. Zor'thex dismissed them, until one night, a message appeared on their command. "Screens, you came for blood. Now you will taste fear." The Vorelian High Council demanded results. Zor'thex knew if he failed again, his head would roll. So he chose to land. He would lead the ground invasion himself. His drop pods entered Earth's atmosphere. He picked a ruined city once called New Chicago. The buildings were broken. The air filled with ash. But again, no humans. Just silence. His soldiers moved through the empty streets, guns raised. Then, one by one, they vanished. No screams. No signs of struggle. Just Z. Or single quotes. X ordered a full scan. Nothing. And then he saw it. One human, standing alone, unarmed. A man, mid-30s, with a scar on his cheek and old Earth armor. He looked tired. He didn't speak. Zor'thex stepped forward. "Are you the last one?" The man smiled. But there was no warmth in it. "No," he said quietly. "I'm just the bait." Zor'thex turned, but it was too late. His soldiers were already surrounded. Human snipers emerged from rubble. Explosives triggered. Fires roared. The silent city came alive. Zor'thex had made one mistake. He had assumed fear only lived in weaker species. He had never known humans. And for the first time in his life, he ran. Zor'thex escaped through smoke and fire. His once loyal soldiers Didn't follow some were captured, some already gone. As he reached the extraction point, he looked back. The humans stood in the ruins, unmoving, staring at him. That night, the Vorelian commander sent a message to the High Council. His voice was not as proud as before. Earth is not weak. They knew we were coming. They let us land. It was a trap. The council was silent. Then came the response from Supreme Lord Verza. Bring Earth to its knees. Burn it. Break their spirit. Zor'thex did not argue. He obeyed. But in his heart, doubt had taken root. A full assault began. Vorelian cruisers released deadly clouds that melted metal. They dropped sonic bombs that broke stone into dust. Cities were flattened. Oceans turned black. Satellites showed fire across the globe. Still, humanity did not beg for peace. Instead, strange things began to happen. A Vorelian supply ship disappeared mid-flight. Cameras showed it entering a mountain range. It never came out. Entire squads stopped answering calls. Last known signals came from forests, deserts, deep ice caves. In one report, a captain screamed, "They live under the ground. They come through walls. They don't fight like any species." Another recording played on loop in Vorelian command centers. "You don't understand Earth. We are the apex here. You just invaded our hunting grounds." Zor'thex ordered his elite hunters, the Shadow Fangs, to find these ghost humans. They never returned. One by one, the Vorelians realized something terrifying. Humanity was not fighting for victory. They were fighting to teach a lesson, and they were patient. Deep in an abandoned research bunker, a human resistance leader named Kara watched the alien broadcasts. She was a former soldier, scarred by war, now leading survivors. Her voice was calm but full of steel. "We've studied them. They fear nothing. That's their weakness. They don't know what fear is. So we'll teach them." Her team nodded, quiet, focused. Each mission they ran wasn't about big battles. It was about planting fear, making the enemy question every step, every shadow, every door. Meanwhile, in orbit, Zor'thex was changing. He began sleeping with his weapons loaded. He flinched at small sounds. He distrusted every blinking light. Even his own crew whispered behind his back. He's seen the humans. He knows what they are. Zor'thex gathered the remaining warlords. He slammed his fist on the table. These creatures are not gods. They are animals, but clever animals. They fight dirty. If we want to win, we must become monsters. He proposed a plan: biobombs. They would wipe out all life on Earth in one sweep. The council approved. The bombs were built in orbit. Deadly, silent, and fast. But the humans were already inside. One by one, the bombs stopped responding. One exploded early on a Vorelian base. Another sent out a final message. A human face, half burnt, smiling. "Too slow," he said. Zor'thex could feel it now. He had stepped into something ancient. Earth wasn't a battlefield anymore. It was a trap. And humanity had teeth. Zor'thex no longer trusted the shadows. Every corridor on his command ship was bright with extra lights. Guards stood at every door. Sensors scanned every corner, every second. And still, the fear didn't leave him. Reports kept coming in. Not of battles but disappearances. His elite squads gone. Supply ships vanished. Bases silent. Not destroyed, just empty. Like the humans had swallowed them whole. Then, something new happened. A ship arrived. Not a human one, a Vorelian cruiser, long missing. It floated dead in space. No signal. No signs of life. Zor'thex ordered a team to board it. Inside, the walls were covered in words, human words. Written in red, maybe paint, maybe not. "You fear now, good." The team ran back, shaking. One of them shot himself before he could speak. Zor'thex began to understand. This was no longer war. It was something deeper. The humans were turning fear into a weapon. Back on Earth, Kara and her team moved through the sewers of old Detroit. The sky above was covered with black alien clouds, but underground, the Resistance thrived. They had maps of every Vorelian drop zone, every movement, every weakness. They didn't fight for victory anymore. They fought to break the enemy's mind. One of her scouts, Leo, returned from a solo mission. His face was pale, but his eyes were wild with fire. I got inside their command ship. He said, "They're cracking." One of them cried when he saw me. Kara smiled, just slightly. "That's good, they bleed now. That means they'll break." Far away, Zor'thex received a message from his homeworld. The Supreme Council was furious. Billions of credits had been spent. The war was meant to last days, not months. They demanded answers, results, victory. Zor'thex sent one reply: "Earth changes us. I don't know what we're fighting anymore." His crew was restless. Some tried to escape. Others whispered about surrender, but surrender wasn't an option. The Vorelian code forbade it. So Zor'thex came up with a final plan. If the humans hunted shadows, he would give them something bigger. He called for the Soul Hammer, forbidden Vorelian weapon. It was not meant for planets. It was meant to end stars. If Earth could not be taken, it would be erased. The Soul Hammer began charging above the Earth's orbit. Its power core hummed like thunder trapped in a box. Once fired, it would burn Earth from the inside. But humans were already there. A small shuttle flew close to the Soul Hammer's power station. Tiny, weak, unnoticed. Inside, Leo was piloting. He was scared, shaking, but he remembered Kara's words. "We don't need to win. We just need to make them afraid." Leo crashed the shuttle straight into the Soul Hammer's core. It didn't explode. Instead, it opened. A signal was released, a virus. Not for machines, for minds. Every Vorelian near the Soul Hammer began screaming. Their minds flooded with human memories: war, loss, fire, music, laughter, screams, silence. They saw Earth through human eyes, and they couldn't take it. Zor single quotes X watched as his screens went dark. One by one, his own fleet turned away. Commanders shut off communications. Some ships drifted into space. Others jumped to random coordinates, running from humans. Running from Earth, running from fear. And, for the first time in Vorelian history, the apex fled. The skies above Earth cleared. For the first time in months, the dark shadows of Vorelian warships were gone. Cities broken by fire, and fear slowly began to breathe again. Survivors climbed out from bunkers, shelters, ruins. They looked up, not with hope, but with questions. Had humanity won? Or had the monsters simply gone quiet? In the underground base beneath the Rocky Mountains, Kara stood in front of a flickering screen. The map showed something strange. Almost all Vorelian ships had left orbit. Leo was gone. His sacrifice had stopped the Soul Hammer. His name was whispered like a spell through the Resistance. A human who turned death into victory. But Kara wasn't celebrating. She knew this wasn't over. Zor'thex was still out there. On the edge of the solar system, the last Vorelian dreadnought floated. In silence. Inside, Zor'thex sat alone in the command chamber. His armor was scratched, his eyes bloodshot, his empire scattered. But he hadn't given up. Not yet. He stared at a frozen image on the screen, a human face. "Kara's, she leads them," he said quietly to himself. "She broke my soldiers. She must be the key." So he made a new plan. He would not attack Earth again. He would take Kara. One ship. One mission. A capture. He believed if he could break her, the humans would lose their spirit. He activated his cloaking system. The dreadnought turned invisible. It moved fast, slipping through human sensors like a ghost. Meanwhile, Kara had gathered the other Resistance leaders. They met inside a cave lit by old lanterns and emergency lights. Some wanted to rebuild. Some wanted to chase the enemy. Kara only said one thing: they'll be back. But next time, it won't be a war. What then? A young soldier asked. Kara looked up. A message. They're planning something different. Something worse. Before she could explain, the power flickered. A sound like metal tearing echoed through the cave. Then silence. A second later, Kara was gone. No one saw the Vorelian soldiers. No one heard the dart that knocked her out. It was fast. Precise. Just like everything else the Vorelians had done. Before, but colder. When Kara woke up, she was no longer on Earth. She was inside a glowing room, full of cold light and sharp angles. Her hands were chained, her mouth dry. Zor'thex stood before her, but he didn't speak like a conqueror anymore. He looked tired, confused, maybe even scared. You're different, he said. Your people are different. You fight with fear, but not just fear, you fight with meaning. Kara didn't answer. She watched him, waiting. He leaned closer. How did you defeat us? You have no fleets, no weapons like ours. But we lost. Why? She smiled, slow and calm. Because you never understood what you were fighting. Zor'thex flinched. For a moment, he almost looked human. Then the alarm screamed. Red lights flashed. The humans had found her. The alarm echoed across the Vorelian dreadnought. Red lights blinked, systems failed, and shadows danced on the walls. Vorelian soldiers ran through corridors, shouting commands. But it was already too late. The humans were aboard, not an army. Not ships. Just a team. 5 soldiers, quiet, skilled, angry. They moved like ghosts, silent, fast, deadly. One by one, Vorelians fell. No explosions, no loud gunfire. Only silence. Fear. In the center of the ship, Kara watched it unfold on the monitors. Her hands were still chained, but her eyes burned with fire. You came for answers, she told. Zor'thex, you forgot we come for our people. Zor'thex stared at the screen in disbelief. His top guards were gone. His ship's AI was losing control. How had they gotten inside? They are just 5. He shouted. Kara smiled. You still don't get it. Zor'thex moved toward her, fury in his steps. Tell me what you are. What kind of monsters are you? She leaned forward, whispering like a secret. We're not monsters. We're survivors. Before he could react, the door behind him exploded open. Smoke filled the room. A shape stepped out, a human in black armor, holding a plasma blade. It was Leo's brother Jace. You took my brother, he growled. Now we take you. Zor'thex turned to run, but Kara was already free. The humans didn't need an army. They needed each other. Within minutes, the ship's command center was theirs. Kara looked around. We're not just rescuing me, she said. We're ending this. She sat at the control panel. One of her team handed her a small black drive. What's that? Jace asked. Kara's voice was steady. A message. She plugged it in. A signal burst from the dreadnought's communication systems, loud, clear, sent across space. It reached every Vorelian ship, every listening outpost, every commander still in hiding. The screen lit up with her face. My name is Kara. I am human. You came to break us. You failed. You feared nothing, but now you fear us. This is not revenge. This is the end of your reign. Across the stars, Vorelian leaders stared in silence. Some shut off their screens. Some dropped their weapons. One by one, they realized the truth. They weren't the apex anymore. The humans were, and they had taken their place. Zor'thex, now locked in his own prison aboard his ship, sat in silence. He didn't scream. He didn't beg. He just stared at the walls. The words the humans had written before, in red, returned to him. You fear now. Good. The Vorelian dreadnought floated in orbit above Earth, no longer a weapon, but a symbol. Once feared across galaxies, it now flew a human banner. Inside, Kara stood on the bridge. Her scars glowed in the soft blue light. Around her were humans, engineers, medics, soldiers. Not celebrating, not cheering, just focused, because this was not the end of war. This was the beginning of something bigger. The message Kara had sent had already spread beyond Vorelian space. Dozens of smaller alien species, once slaves or exiles under Vorelian rule, had seen the signal. Many began to rise. Across 3 galaxies, statues of Vorelian warlords were torn down, not by weapons, by people, by aliens, by the ones who had been afraid for centuries. Now they had something new. Hope. Jace walked onto the bridge, holding a datapad. Zor'thex hasn't spoken since we locked him in, he said. No food, no water, doesn't ask, just sits. Kara nodded. He's not hungry, he's thinking. Thinking about what? She looked at the stars outside the window. What? It means to lose. They walked together down the corridor, past Vorelian prisoners. Most were silent. Some stared at the floor. 1 or 2 looked up, but not with hatred, with confusion. They had been taught that humans were weak. That Earth was nothing but a soft blue world. But now, they were prisoners on that very world's orbit. When Kara entered the cell, Zor'thex didn't move. His armor had been removed. His skin looked pale under the light. I didn't expect this, he said finally. Because you never listened, Kara replied. You fight like no species we've ever faced, he muttered. You don't fear death. You don't need armies. You use silence. And stories. She sat across from him. You ruled through fear. We used that against you. We gave it back. That's all. Zor'thex looked at her. For the first time there was no anger, just acceptance. Then what happens now? Kara stood. You go on trial, fairly, something your empire never gave anyone else. Zor'thex gave a small laugh. And after that? That depends on you, she said. Outside the cell, the stars kept moving. On Earth, people were rebuilding. And far away, on planets humans had never even heard of, someone whispered. The humans stood against the apex and made them run. It wasn't just a war story anymore. It had become legend. And legends never die.